The hour is later than you know. We are running out of time. When I say that we're running out of time, I'm not just talking about the time between now and 3rd of May when you'll have your final opportunity to cast your ballot and when we'll decide and find out the outcome of this election in 2025. What I mean when I say we're running out of time is that we're running out of time to avoid the fate that we're seeing unfold in Europe, to avoid the fate that we're seeing unfold in the UK, to avoid the fate that the US only avoided because of the strength of its constitutional protections and its Bill of Rights, which we do not enjoy by any stretch of the imagination. We have politicians who treat us with such contempt that not only do they dismiss Harrison with a wave of the hand and say, "Go away, peasants," they dismiss Sky News, they dismiss journalists. Questions asked of them that are off script, that are outside of their media caravan and convoy, are treated and called disruptions to the campaign. That is the essence of what campaigning should be. I've been on the campaign trail for the last 13 months. By 3rd of May, I will have been 13 months and a half on the campaign trail. And I've been doing that not only because I want to show all of you what kind of senator I'll be if I'm elected, but because that's what it takes, because I want to see and hear and listen to the struggles of everyday Australians. I'm speaking with people who run food banks, who are seeing middle-class families with children in school coming and taking advantage of charity food aid. I'm speaking with real estate agents who say that we have 1% vacancy in our rental markets. We are seeing what will only become worse, and that is a recession that cannot be avoided or deferred, even through the mass migration settings that are simply seeking to keep GDP high. The bubble will soon burst, and it will probably be within the next 3 years. We are staring down the barrel of the second term of the worst government Australia has ever had, only because we also have the worst opposition that Australia has ever had. When I started this campaign as an ex-Liberal Party member, I was determined that I was going to help drag the Liberal Party and Peter Dutton government, if elected, back towards a principled centre, towards the Menzies We Believe statement. A couple of weeks ago, about in between the first and second leaders debate, I realised that the Liberal Party doesn't need reform, it doesn't need improvement, it needs to be replaced. And that's easy to say, but to do that, to achieve anything like what the Reform Party has achieved in the UK, to achieve what Trump achieved in 2024, the work needs to begin now. I'm not even going to stand here and talk to you about policy, because as you've all seen through many events that have happened over the past couple of months in particular, there is a lot of overlap. Many of the parties that you might be considering voting for share common ground in many important respects. There are differences, and there are enough differences that that competition and individual party status remaining needs to happen, but there are many areas on which we can cooperate. So I'm not going to talk about policy to you today. Instead, I'm going to talk to you about the practical realities, what it will take to be in a position in 2028 to start winning lower house seats, not just getting a support for freedom minor parties on the crossbench, but winning lower house seats, which is what needs to happen in 2028 to start the process of providing Australians with a viable alternative to the coalition. Because mark my words, the lesson that Peter Dutton and the Liberal Party take from their loss in about 1 week's time will not be the lesson that blind Freddie could see or that all of us could see. It will not be that at every opportunity when Peter Dutton had the choice between what was convenient and what was principled, he chose what was convenient. That will not be the lesson they take. The lesson they will take will be that they need to be more the Diet Coke to Labor's Coke. They will take the lesson that they need to be more moderate, more populist, more weak and unprincipled. That is the lesson the Liberal Party will take, I can promise you. As disappointing as Dutton has been, you don't know the depths of disappointment that can come and that will come in 2028. The next leaders that are behind Dutton will make us miss Dutton. And I can guarantee you guys don't think that's possible now, whether you're here or at home. You don't think that in 3 years' time you're going to be thinking, geez, wasn't it good when we had Peter Dutton as opposition leader? But I can promise you that you will. Because I didn't think I would feel that way about Tony Abbott, and I now do. I didn't think I would feel that way about Scott Morrison. And even now, watching this campaign unfold and watching the pathological inability to act in their own best interest displayed by the Liberal Party. I miss Scott Morrison, and I never ever thought I would say that. So mark my words, in 3 years' time, we will look back on this election and think, oh, we thought it couldn't get any worse, but it will. So what it's going to take is for day one after the new Senate is announced, and if I'm successful at being elected to the Senate, from day one of that being confirmed, before the Senate sits, there's a 2-month gap. The Senate doesn't sit until July. That's not time for a holiday. You don't need to wait to start doing what needs to be done. I'm not going to be waiting and standing on ceremony if I'm elected. On day one, the moment the new Senate is announced, the moment that button gets pushed, I'm going to be picking up the phone. I'm going to be making phone calls. And you know that I will because I've already done it. We've got a joint ticket in New South Wales for the first time in Australian history. 3 parties, Libertarian, Heart, and People First, Gerard Rennick's People First, on a united 3-party coalition ticket, 1 line, 1 column in the Senate. That is as a result of my hard work over the last 2 years and the Freedom Summit that we're able to pull together at the last minute prior to this election. That conversation needs to start immediately after this election for 2028. We need Senate tickets with freedom-aligned minor parties all around Australia in every state, and it needs to be organised 2 years to 18 months out to be effective. I have already shown a track record of a preparedness to work with other parties, of a willingness to sit down and listen, to break bread and find common ground. That's not hypothetical, that's already happened. And it's happened with very little time because other parties besides the Libertarian Party weren't in a position to start thinking that far ahead. But we need to make that happen. When it comes to what else needs to happen, we also need to be looking at being proactive. We need to be not just waiting for bad legislation to come to the Senate, because by the time it comes to the Senate, the numbers are already done, 9 times out of 10. The best defense is a good offense, and we need to be on the front foot. We need to be holding these legislators and regulators and experts to account in Senate estimates. I'm 38, I'm young, I'm hungry. I am the generation that's suffering as a result of the last 20 years of political negligence and lack of leadership. I know what it's like to be in the middle of the housing crisis, to want accommodation, to want to have that future to protect and conserve. I know what it's like to think that I might be raising and bringing kids into a world where they're going to be worse off than the generations before them for the first time in living history. That's an indictment that we should all be far angrier about than we are. But the biggest thing, the biggest reason that you need a libertarian voice, that you need me in the Senate, is that I am not going to view being in the Senate and voting on hopeless bills where the numbers are stacked against us as the main game. No. The most important thing about a Freedom Party senator from Victoria, a minor right party from Victoria winning a Senate seat, is to use that platform to educate, to shine a spotlight on the corruption, on the swamp, on the waste that is in Canberra. That if more Australians understood what it looked like, how wasteful, how obscene it is when we're struggling at home, they would be far, far angrier than they are. And that's the missing link. That's what will take these numbers we have now to 10, 100 times more. And I'll finish on this. If you're at home, if you're watching this now or afterwards, we have 7 days left. The next 7 days are, without exaggeration, the most important 7 days in the political history of this country. We need you to be getting off the couch, to be getting away from the keyboard, to be going out to polling booths on election day, even if you don't have anything with you, even if you aren't able to get onto one of your representatives from the minor parties. Just go, make yourself known, grab some how to vote cards and make change for this country. So on Saturday the 3rd of May, we might not be able to defeat this terrible Albanese government, but we can lay the foundations for defeating it in 2028 and defeating the useless, corrupt Liberal Party to boot. Thank you.
Authorised by S. Payton, Libertarian Party, Docklands, Victoria.